Hello, hello, and welcome to part 3 of our Mastering Media Relations series with Joanna Reymond. This is perhaps the most exciting part of the series because Joanna is going to talk to you about pitching your idea and securing media coverage. Hello again, Jo. Thanks for sharing your expertise and letting me ask you 101 questions. We'd love to hear your advice on how businesses can draft an email pitch to the media, as you were talking before.
So in consideration of journalists, they're receiving upwards of 300 emails a day. So how do you get yours opened? How do you get yours read? I'm a big believer in the niceties, hello, I hope you're having a nice day. However, when you're pitching to a journalist, sometimes it's best to drop that. Or a nice address is if you've recently read an article of theirs that you found interesting or that you really enjoyed, making reference to that. And that immediately also alerts them to the fact that you're pitching them something relevant because you know they work. And then once you've done that, then heading straight into the news. So what is it that you want this journalist to know and what you want them to write about? So if you've got a new restaurant, you say, we've just opened or we're opening next week. This is our start of cuisine. This is the chef. This is my role, where you are and what's special about it.
Okay, fantastic. And any guidelines on length or?
Length will vary. If you have a media release, then a very quick email is fine. One paragraph and you can say information in the attached media release. If you don't have a media release, then dot points are really great in the email, and you can just dot point a few menu items, a little bit about the fit out and the philosophy of the venue.
Yeah, fantastic. And do you mind explaining what an embargo is for those that don't know, and when a business might opt to use one and how to sort of manage that?
An embargo is a great tool for publicists in that it gets you working with journalist timelines. So you can send out the news before anyone is allowed to talk about it, but it gives the journalist time to prepare that story so that the second the news can go live, they're ready to go out with it.
Okay. And so when's the best time to use one, do you think?
For example, if a new venue has been purchased and you don't want to talk about it until handover, then that's the time. Or if it's an awards program and you know who the winners are, but obviously you don't want the winners getting out before the winners know.
Yeah, that's a great example. And do you have any advice on calling journalists versus emailing about a news or story idea? Any guidance around navigating that?
Really depends on the journalist. Today, most journalists really prefer an email, but there are still some journalists that hang on to the phone call, and they prefer a phone call pitch and then a follow-up email with the information. But if you're sort of new to the game or you're not sure which journalists are going to be working like that, I would always just send an email first.
Okay, great advice. And what is an exclusive? You do hear about, when you see on TV, exclusive story. What is that, and how can a business offer one or manage that? When is that a good idea?
An exclusive means that publication is the only one or the first one to have that story. These are really tricky to navigate because particularly through social media, news can run very quickly. So if you're promising an exclusive story to a journalist, you need to keep everything else very tight until they've been able to tell that story.
Okay, maybe one to leave to the professionals, you think? Maybe one to leave to the professionals, yeah. And any advice on getting the most out of hosting media at events and sort of on familiarisation trips to businesses?
Yeah, this is something we do quite a lot, and you definitely get, a greater result out of it because it's like anything. Once you've experienced it yourself, you can speak better about it, write better about it, tell the story better. So with restaurants, we certainly do a hosting campaign where we can either invite a table of, say, 10 media who we know all get along to have a lovely dinner, or we invite them with a guest to experience it as a table for two, as a normal consumer would. Okay. Other businesses, for example, we work with a tapware brand in Denmark. So we have hosted media across to Denmark, given them a factory tour, a bit of a historical tour through the town that manufactures these taps. And then we've just received some amazing coverage, like double page in AFR Luxury Magazine, Wish Magazine, Belle, Vogue Living. So it just depends on the scale and what the business is.
Sure. And I guess what you can afford, because an international meal is not cheap, is it? So, yeah.
That's right. Of course.
Yeah, right. And how about sending out products for review? This can be a bit of a tricky one, but I know that some retail companies, for example, might send out, spirit samples or food samples, or and it's really prominent also in the wine industry when a new vintage comes out. What's your advice on managing that process?
Definitely send them products, but don't set any parameters around, or avoid sending any parameters around expectations. Okay. Your best result is if they don't like the product, that they don't write anything about it. And so, well, that's not your best result, but if they don't like it. But then the best result, if they like the product, that they'll social media about it, they'll write about it in their column. So never be shy to share product.
Okay, but just be careful about the ask. Yeah.
Yeah, just you know, as you would approach a friend, would love for you to try this. It's our latest vintage, or we've just developed this new chocolate. Please enjoy it. We have fun sending products out on, National Chocolate Day, or hot cross buns out for Easter. If there's a theme to it, or if it's purely that it's new for you, then get it out that way.
You're making me so hungry. Maybe it's because I'm pregnant, but the hot chocolate and the cross buns. Anything that journalists hate in terms of pitching or PR activity that people need to be careful of?
Again, being conscious of their time. So the more information, the greater the package you can get to them in the first instance, the happier they are. So if you're sending them information, include some imagery in there, so that they don't have to come back and say, "Yeah, I like this. Have you got any images?" And then make sure those images are high resolution enough that they can be printed. Other things they hate, I guess, is if you're pitching them something that's not relevant to what they write. So that goes back to research once again, and making sure that the journalist, the person that you're approaching, you've read their latest work.
Yeah. And is there any other sort of general advice on working with the media that we haven't covered? Anything I haven't asked that you think is important?
All I would say is that they're human beings as well, and they're trying to do their job the best that they can. They're tied to their audience. So what they're writing is what their audience wants to read about. It's not their personal choice. So if they decline your story, it doesn't mean they don't like you. It just means that their audience, unfortunately, is not looking for that type of content.
Yeah. Fantastic. And so if people who watch this series have more questions about media relations, or they want to work with you, how can they get in touch?
I would love that. So you can email me at joanna@reymond.com.au, or follow us on Instagram, which is Reymond Comms.
Fantastic. And I just want to thank everyone also who's joined us and followed the series. And I have to say, please do get in touch with Jo if you have any queries on this topic, because she really is one of the best in the business. So thank you, Jo, and bye to everyone who's watching. Thanks.
Thanks for having me. Bye, everyone.
Bye.